All right, good afternoon. My name is James Kolzow, and this presentation this morning is for EEE 5223. All right, so I'm going to piggyback on the market research module that we learned in class and give you some real-world background from an entrepreneurial stance that I've done as a franchise owner for the last 6 years. So right now, I have a franchise location in southern New Jersey, and I'm currently building my second franchise location to be open in November of 2015. So everything that I'm saying today has been drafted from the Restaurant Location Guidebook by John Mellenfee, and it will be a real-world example via Panchero's Mexican Grill. They put out a very nice document to help do market research when you're proposing to grow to another franchise location. And like I said, the site submission report kind of steps through it scientifically and gets the franchise owner, just in plain English, thinking about certain things like their value proposition and their target market. So as you can see on the slides, I have two LLC entities, one for each location. And we'll be doing the market analysis through the site submission report, which will be opening in a second. Once we open that, we're going to go over some typical franchise requirements, and these requirements can be set by you as a small business owner and applied, against pretty much any type of small business. For today's purposes, it'll be from a franchising point of view. In the report, there'll be some decision logic, which is essentially going to be your business plan if you've thought about one. Your site fact sheet, demographics, rent is always a big one. Landlord work versus what you're agreeing upon in your letter of intent. And we'll talk about all those things in detail. And then just some attachments, which you'll probably get from your real estate agent or potentially the city. All right, franchise requirements. If you go to Pancheros.com or if you're doing a franchise or really any small business, you go to a competitor website. To kind of look just for some general requirements that they have. So if you go to the website on the right-hand side and the top, you'll see franchise, and click on that, and then there'll be site requirements. So for us, I'm looking for an end cap in a strip center with 30 feet of frontage, at least 35 parking spaces, and I want that parking area and the center to be busy. So I want some type of big time, hot retail, whatever that might be. In some locations it's a Walmart. In the Northeast, no one goes to Walmart. So it all just kind of depends. And I put in parentheses that, having all that parking and having it near shopping is convenient. And wow, that's a value proposition. All right, next bullet, 20,000 daytime population, income, college. That's my target market. Some things with the restaurant itself as far as water, gas, HVAC, and that's just a min requirement for any type of restaurant. And whatever business you're doing, make sure you understand, hey, what is it going to take to open this thing and to get permits from the city and to pass inspections. All right, so go ahead and open that site submission report. I attached two. One's going to be blank, which you'll fill out eventually, so pay attention, and then one I have filled out. So open the one I filled out. As you go through it, it's just a plain English, market analysis, nothing fancy. But you do need to be thinking about these certain items. It's not an accident when you're successful and you're putting these locations, near your target market, and it's catering towards a value proposition. For me, it's convenience. All right, so let's get started. All right, decision logic. This is a wordy slide, but I wanted you to have the information, seeing this is a distance learning type of presentation. But to begin, go ahead and ask your customer what they want and then deliver it. In my case, I did my undergrad on the West Coast. I lived in Texas. I moved out to the Northeast, and there was no Chipotle, there was no Qdoba, there was no fast casual Mexican. So I provided that. I gave the customers, what they needed. The executive summary is what I use to kind of step through my decision logic. I attached that for you, but it's essentially your business plan. A lot of you might not have a business plan yet, but maybe go through the executive summary just to give yourself some ideas. And as you step through this graduate program, you'll actually write a business plan. So you can attach right there. Your value proposition, your competitive advantage, target market, team, economics, financial highlights if you have any. I have another restaurant, so I'm able to highlight, a few successes. So that should all be in your decision logic. Your site fact sheet. All right, you're going to be looking at retail density. So, you want customers nearby. You want the right customers nearby. So look at retail, like I already discussed, in your center. Offices, are there any major corporations nearby? Hospitals? Anyone? I said 500 employees. That's just, a general idea. But, do some research. Get out there and see, who's going to be going to lunch or dinner. Demographics. This is an interesting one because it's a lot of information. If you're working with a real estate agent, they'll be able to provide these demographics, or a franchise. ESRI is, a website you could look up, and they'll provide demos, maybe for a fee. Pitney Bowes the same. I actually like LoopNet. It's a free online website that sends you leads, similar to Trulia and Zillow. Or, you could go in or call the city township. They might have numbers for you. So there's all kinds of ways to get these numbers. The example you used in class, or the professor used in class, was the college degree Dallas versus Houston and Oklahoma, or Dallas and Houston versus Oklahoma. And I was surprised. I really was. So this is not something that you want to be surprised with when you open up a location and you're surprised by the demographics. So look at them. My target market is a Caucasian male, 20 to 39, some college, discretionary income. So I want to put, my franchise nearby. So if you don't have these franchised, target markets that's laid out nicely, go ahead and think about that and, make sure you set those numbers. Demographics, here's how I laid it out. You can see the population. I'm well above, I'm 60,000. The income is very good. 92% is high school educated, so they're most likely working on some college, and, obviously it's very Caucasian. So pretty much right in there. Site background. This is the letter of intent. I'm not going to talk about the letter of intent today just for length purposes. However, I did attach it. You can look at it. The big thing, or the takeaways from the letter of intent, are what are you going to be paying in rent? And this letter of intent is basically your initial negotiation with your landlord. So you found a location. Now it's time to start hashing out the details with, the owner of that building. So is the building a dump? Are you taking it as is? Is it a beautiful brand new building? Where's the plumbing? Where's your electrical going to be? There's all kinds of things that are laid out nicely in that letter of intent. And I call them deal breaker items. So if you can't get past that, what's the point of even trying to negotiate a lease? Trade area, your building, square footage, signage, that's all easy because it's just, hey, how big is the building? Are they going to give you signage? Estimated construction cost. This is a big one, and you should put some effort into looking over how much is the build out going to cost. I just talked about, is the landlord going to help you out? Is the building a dump? Is it a beautiful brand new building? That's all going to affect your bottom line cost. And hey, what's your estimate for sales? Are you going to do a couple $1 million in sales? Revenue and profits solves a lot of problems. So here's the rent schedule that I attached. It's pretty typical that you'll do a 10-year term, and rent will increase over the course of those 10 years. Under the other expenses, there's triple net is what it's called. That's basically your taxes, common area maintenance. So $9 a square foot, that's pretty expensive. So typically it is in price per square foot. If you're looking for your monthly payment, multiply that. My building's 2,800 square feet, so I'd multiply $20 times 2,800, divide that by 12. That'll be your monthly payment. However, taxes and common area maintenance could really affect what your monthly payments are going to be. After that, I could cancel the lease, or I could extend and renew my lease for another 5 years and then another 5 years. So that's all this is saying. And then an exclusive at the bottom is just saying, hey, I'm fast casual Mexican. I really don't want anyone else in the center serving the same thing as me. If you're a clothing store, it'd be nice if you were the only women's clothing store, or same as, let's say, you're a dry cleaner. You don't want to have that competition in there. All right, on to the competition. It's good to take a look at who's nearby and how are they doing. So this is laid out nicely, distance, easy, operation level. Hey, is it a dump? Are they operating well? Are people happy? Weekly sales, traffic. How are you going to get those numbers? It's not online. So you have to physically go into these restaurants or competitors and talk to them. Try to figure out what their numbers are. A lot of times I'll just straight up ask a manager. Recently, there was a Qdoba. I went in there and said, hey, I heard you guys were restructuring and shutting down. And the manager told me, oh no, we're really busy. I'm like, oh, really busy? What kind of sales are you doing? 4,000 a day? They're like, yeah, actually we're doing about 5,000 a day. So, there's all kinds of ways, saying you're a student, doing research to get these numbers. All right, trade area, we kind of just talked about. You want to look at your weekday, your weekend, any sales cycles. Hey, are you at the beach? Up in the Northeast, the beach is very busy. However, come September, it's dead. So are there low seasons, high seasons? And then you could start kind of forecasting some of your numbers. How many daily customers do you need to break even? I say 550,000 in sales will break even. You could also do a top-down sales forecast. Targeting your population, how much of your population will need to come in. Obviously, 8 million annual is a pretty high number, but that would be every single person coming in and buying a burrito. But you could start getting a general idea. It's, hey, if I'm targeting every single person, am I even going to break even, or is it going to be some huge number that you could identify a large market share? Bottom up forecast. Hey, what do I need to do to achieve my goals? My goals are, I want to do 2 million annual sales. So what do I need to do a day to achieve that? And also low end break even. All right, the last and final slide, we're going to look at the build out, the landlord versus the LOI. So like I said, I attached it. I'm not going to go too deep into this. So essentially, once you get serious about leasing a building, you want to send the landlord, hey, this is what you're willing to pay. And these are some things you need fixed with the building. Or the landlord might just come back and say, hey, you'll take it as is. Some landlords are so excited about their property and fixing it, they'll actually say, you know what, I'll give it to you as is. However, I'm going to give you, let's say, a $20 a square foot tenant improvement credit. So, essentially you're going to fix the building as you will, and he's going to help pay for it because it's going to make the building look nice. And, after your lease is finished, he's going to keep the building. He or she or whatever group owns or is going to be the landlord. If that makes sense. So, for a restaurant, we need certain items. Whether I pay for it or whether the landlord pays for it, to have a restaurant and to pass inspections and to open up in accordance with the health department code, we're going to need certain things. So, talking about that early in the process instead of, when the negotiations are almost finished is very advantageous. And it's done via this letter of intent. So if the landlord's not helping you out, obviously it's going to increase cost. If he is helping you out, it'll lower cost. So very important. Also, the building typical or atypical. Is it a nice rectangle or is it some crazy circular, type of layout that it will be impossible to fit, and there's going to be a lot of wasted space. So just things to look at and kind of project out. All right, in summary, we went over the site submission report. You can see it's nothing cosmic. However, it will help guide you and let you know that, hey, is this location going to be feasible? I've spent 5 years looking for a restaurant location. I filled out, over 10 of these site submission reports, and, I kept hitting dead ends. So it's not an overnight process. It does take time and effort. So there is a science to successfully putting your concept near your target market. It's not luck. And that decision logic, the demos, the letter of intent, that will all lead you to successfully placing your location. So I don't want to be surprised. I want to spend the effort into doing the research, and this tool should help you do that. So with that, I wish you all the best of luck. Good luck on submitting your site submission reports, and we'll talk to you soon.